Bruce Johnson here. And in this video today, what we're going to try to do is answer the question, how do you know if a mission statement is actually a good one or not? In other words, how do you know if this mission statement that you have is powerful and persuasive, if it's the right one, if it's using the right language, if it's strategically going to drive you and your company in the right direction in the years to come? Those are all important questions. Now, if you're asking those questions, chances are you're in one of two camps. Either camp A, you don't have a mission statement yet. Maybe you're just starting, or more likely, it's been a couple years and now you've got some more employees and you're trying to get everyone headed in the same direction, and you want to make sure they're clear about what you do and what you don't do. On the other hand, you could be in category B, and that is that maybe you had a business for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and maybe 5 years ago or so, or 10 years ago, you came up with a mission statement, and now you're asking the question, is it really the right mission statement? Are we really headed in the right direction? Do we need to make some changes? And what I can tell you in working with clients, and I do a lot of strategy work, is that most CEOs usually don't like to mess with the mission statement. They like to say, mess with anything but the mission statement. But in reality, usually you have to change that. And you're going to find out why as we're going through the rest of this video. Now, there are usually 4 tests or 4 rules that I try to apply across the board when dealing with a mission statement. Now, we could spend hours on this, but we'll just spend a couple minutes. And rule number 1, you want to know a great mission statement is one that is short. Okay, rule number 1 has got to be short. Now, there's a reason for this, and the major reason is because you want a mission statement to be operative. You want it to actually drive behavior in your organization. And if it's long, it probably won't do that. In fact, let me give you an example of one mission statement from a well-known company, Borders, that really is way too long, and you'll understand this principle. Borders says their mission is to be the best loved provider of books, music, movies, and other entertainment and informational products and services, to be the world leader in selection, service, innovation, ambiance, community involvement, and shareholder value. We recognize people to be the cornerstone of the Borders experience by building internal and external relationships one person at a time. Now let me ask you, how many people do you think could actually memorize and remember that mission statement? Pretty few. Now compare and contrast that with the mission statement we looked at last week from the United States Tennis Association. That was to promote and develop the growth of tennis. Which one do you think is more operative, right? The short one, the short one. So the first rule is that a good mission statement is always one that's short. The second rule that you want to remember is to make it simple. When we're talking about simple, we're talking about using simple language, using the language that people really use in real everyday life. You want to get rid of buzzwords, you want to get rid of jargon, you want to get rid of phrases like shareholder value and business outsource processing and best practices. Get rid of all that stuff and focus in on the words that your people, and more importantly your clients, really use. For example, one of my clients is a credit union. Their mission statement used to be to help our members achieve their financial goals. Now, when we started meeting with the CEO, I asked some questions, and one of the questions was, how many people do you think actually have financial goals? And the answer is very few. Most people don't talk in that language. I mean, that's the language that people in the financial industry talk about, but most people don't. What they talk about is they talk about dreams, right? They dream about sending their kid to college, they dream about having a house, they dream of starting up a business. They have all kinds of dreams, but most people don't have financial goals. So simple language is the language that people normally use. So in their case, there's change to helping their members realize their dreams, and then we added by providing the financial guidance and tools they need. But the difference between dreams and goals is huge, and it's more exciting. We want to help people achieve and realize their dreams. So short, number 2, simple. The third rule is that you want a great mission statement to be operative. Now, what I mean by operative is it needs to be able to drive initiatives. It needs to be able to drive allocation of resources, both your human resources and your capital resources. So an operative one is usually something that gives you some very clear direction as to what you do and what you don't do. So for example, I tend to like the rule of 3. Now you can have 1 or 2, but maybe 3 verbs or 3 phrases that describe what you do. So for example, in State Farm, their mission is to help people, that's who they help, and they do 3 things. We help them manage the risks of everyday life, 1. Secondly, they help them recover from the unexpected. And thirdly, they help them realize their dreams. So in this case, they do 3 things, right? They do insurance, disaster recovery, and investments. That's what they do. Another example would be High Point University, where my daughter just graduated from. Their mission is to provide every student with three things: an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. Now, once you know those three things, you begin to see very clearly how that could drive their initiatives and their resource allocation. How do we make sure that we deliver an extraordinary education? How do we make sure this is done in an inspiring environment? And how do we ensure that we get the right training and staff so that they're caring people for those students? Three things. The rule of three, very, very powerful, and it's great in mission statements. Now, you can have one or two, but once you get past 4 or 5, it becomes very difficult for a mission statement to really be operative. 3 is usually max. So that's number 3. Short, simple, operative, and the fourth and final one that we're going to look at in this video is that it needs to clearly define what you do, and by definition, what you don't do. Now, there are an awful lot of companies that for some reason come up with these really nebulous mission statements that mean like absolutely nothing. Let me give you an example here. This one's from Johnson Controls. Their mission statement is to clearly exceed our customers' increasing expectations. Now, besides the fact that this is virtually impossible to do because customers are hard to satisfy anyway, it just doesn't say anything about Johnson Controls. Who are they? What industry are they in? And how is it going to drive all of their initiatives? Very, very difficult. Now, compare and contrast that with H&R Block. H&R Block's mission statement is to help our clients achieve their financial objectives by serving as their tax and financial partner. So you clearly have an idea. H&R Block is about something. It's not just exceeding customer expectations, but it's not just about tax either, right? It's about tax and financial partnering. And one of the things that I find when you're dealing with mission statements is the first 3 rules really are kind of tactical rules about the wording. It's the fourth one that's really the strategic decision. It helps you define who we are, what we do, and what we don't do. And having worked with a lot of clients on this, I can tell you that this question can help radically change a whole business. I've had clients who thought they're in one business who realized they're in a different business, or who thought they're in this one small little niche who realized they're actually part of a much bigger niche. And when you begin to expand that, all of a sudden new revenue opportunities arise. I've also had clients who were way too wide who realized they had to narrow down and begin to realize we need to be over here. I've had other clients who've had to realize that the business model they've been working under really doesn't work any longer and they need to completely change their business model. And that all came about by these conversations around defining what their mission really is. So I cannot underestimate for you how powerful and important this exercise is of trying to find the right mission statement that can literally drive your company. But as you're doing that, just remember these 4 simple rules. Make sure that it is short, it's simple, it's operative, and it clearly defines what you do and by definition, what you don't do. So until next time, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.